Tracy, so excited to be giving my final presentation to you. As you can see from my title, this is not really a final. That'll make sense as I go along, but these are really ideas that are going to take on a life of their own and move into greater things. So the beauty of libraries is that we have a wide scope. Everything is our business. We can promote and support culture, history, skills, ideas, and objects, as well as books. We are the perfect platform for sneak teaching, and that is teaching things to people when they don't know they're being taught or they are hesitant to be learning new things. And that our work gives us the opportunity to share our interests and passions with our users. And that usually comes out in book displays or the programs that we plan or even the materials that we buy. So it's just a great platform for those of us who have a variety of interests. So a couple points I want to make. First, that people like to see themselves in the books they read. So this is an example. This is my favorite book from childhood. It still is a favorite book. I really identified with main character Carolina. That's a story for another day. But it's really important, especially for younger people, to see themselves in the books that they're reading, to know that they're being represented, that their type of person is being heard. And I think this is the same with programming as well. And people also like to learn about other ideas and other people through books. So this is a low risk, it's threat free, it's not intimidating. I've got some examples here. For example, The Greatest Generation from Tom Brokaw. This is about World War II generation and a lot of veteran stories. And first of all, a lot of those folks are not around anymore for us to talk to, but also I would not go up to a veteran and ask him about his experience and potentially put him in a place where he doesn't really want to be, right? If he's got PTSD or some other trauma. I look at Dick Gregory's book, which is a wonderful book. It's about history or Black history. He has a wonderful way of sharing stories. You will chuckle throughout the whole book. But again, I wouldn't necessarily go up to an African-American person and ask them about this. Assuming that they would know is kind of offensive. And again, maybe it's something people don't really want to talk about. So books help people to learn in a low risk, threat free environment. The other two books I have here, actually, The Immigrant Advantage. I'm still working my way through it. I think you would absolutely love it. So I'm going to recommend that to you. And then the book Stealing Buddha's Dinner. This is a memoir. She was a refugee, I think from Vietnam, but I don't remember. It was a while ago when I read it. But she's around our age, so I think you would appreciate some of the stories in there and some of her memories as well. So what this isn't, this project is not social justice programming. It is not diversity, equity, and inclusivity programming. We have plenty of entities on campus doing that work, and I do not want to step on toes, and that's not my intention. But my idea will aid both initiatives by educating participants about various populations, some populations who are impacted by social justice and DEI initiatives. The other thing is that my project is angle free. So I'm not trying to raise money. I'm not being political. I'm just putting stuff out there and people can take from it what they will. And I think in the last few years, we haven't really been living in an angle-free world. So people are getting very suspicious and very hesitant. And I think that this is a nice platform so that people can learn without feeling like there's something going on in the background. So this is an ideal theme. It is perfect for passive programming, which I will explain a little bit later. It will also provide the library with some social media content, ideas for our makerspace and our programming space. It will support those DEI initiatives. It's a way to appeal to students, hopefully. College students are so difficult to engage with, but I really think that this is going to hook them. And then it's going to help students experience things that they may not otherwise be able to. So not all of these ideas are non-Western, but they are representative of our population. And I have this book cover here because it's kind of funny, a book cover. But I had a faculty member a few years ago make a comment that the library only had books from old white men in our collection. And there is about nothing more offensive you can tell a librarian than that they are that they've got their blinders on. So we do not have books from just old white men in our library. It was kind of offensive, to be quite honest. But as a whole, we are very open-minded, democratic-minded individuals. We're very welcoming. We're very curious. We are interested in a lot of different things. That's why we become librarians, and we don't specialize on a certain area. So that was kind of an insult, but so I wouldn't have gotten here if it wasn't for this class. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This is exactly what I needed. It's exactly what I was looking for. And I'm grateful. So my initial idea was to create 6 programs centered around different cultural topics. So you can see my examples here. I thought, oh, we'll do a workshop where the kids can make a tangram using the laser cutter in the programming space, in the maker space. Or we'll do a Chinese brush painting workshop. And that was fine. 6 programs. Each program would have what I have here. I've got like a little curriculum I created for the tangram puzzle. So this is something that anyone facilitating the program could use this. Possibly even people from other libraries could take this and use it. And then I included historical information about tangrams, some information about the game, and then a list of useful resources. So if someone wanted to learn more about tangrams, for example, I've got a great list of resources here for them. So this is where I really used and am highlighting library resources for folks so that they can come in, make something, do something, and then learn more about that topic. So we're not just making a tangram, you're learning about the history of it, and you're able to learn more if you want to. But then my brain would not stop having ideas. And you being a creative person know how this goes, but our brains never shut off. So this is basically the outline I was able to come up with for programming, because I am the programming librarian at Harper, and in outreach as well. I do everything, it seems. But to support and promote other cultures, cultural learning. So demos. This is something I could collaborate with our hospitality program. But I thought we could have people come in. They could demonstrate how they make different types of dumplings, depending on the culture, different types of breads. Maybe this would be one person doing all of this. Maybe there would be people from different cultures making tortillas or naan or challah, depending on how we decide to organize this program. I chose dumplings and breads to start with because every culture seems to have some version of a dumpling or a bread, and I think this would help students realize how much more similar we are than it seems sometimes, while also appreciating and highlighting our unique individualities. And I would use A to Z World Food. It's a great database we have, but that would be a great resource to promote while doing this for our students. And then also demoing certain arts. So like Polish paper cutting, for example, that can be really tricky. I don't know that I would start out with a workshop for students, but they could come and see someone demonstrate how to do that type of a craft, or the Islamic calligraphy or basketry, Mendi, all these other ideas. So students could come in, they could learn something. Maybe they go home and they're inspired. It changes their lives. Maybe they just learned something new that day, and it helps them to see the world a little bit differently. Then workshops. So these are actual things that students could come in to our make shop and do, or our programming space. Just, again, a couple ideas. I was able to identify some folks that might be able to present for us on this. I didn't reach out to anyone because I don't want them thinking that they have an event scheduled with us when I don't have this quite approved yet from my boss. But we do have the woman from Natalie's studio. She's coming this fall to do glass mosaic with our make shop. She's doing 2 sessions, and then we're going to have her back in spring for Ukrainian egg painting. So we've already been able to move forward on some of these great ideas that I got from this class, or were inspired by this class. Performances. I was able to identify some fairly local Hawaiian and Polynesian groups, also some African and Caribbean groups that can come in and do dance. They do some fire dancing. There was a drum group, which I think is this picture down here from the African and Caribbean list, to have them come in, and I think the students would really love this. And our community as well. Our community is always invited to our events. Presentations. So the Trickster Cultural Center is right in Schaumburg, close to campus. There's a couple other museums here I've identified for Native American arts, so they could come and talk to our students. I'm not really sure about exactly what topic. Maybe it's the culture as a whole, maybe it's a specific type of art, but just to do some presentations. And then with religions, my coworker has already had someone from each of these locations come in recent years to talk to his religious interest group on campus. So maybe we could do a panel discussion about different religions. Maybe we could just visit with a Buddhist monk one day. So not exactly sure how that would look, but these are my basic ideas. So passive programming. Passive programming, there's a great example right here. It's a whiteboard with a question on it. Students like to answer questions. They like to tell people what they think. It's inexpensive and it's ridiculously popular with students. So a couple ideas for passive programming. I was thinking of doing a magnetic tangram on a whiteboard so students could manipulate it on their own. Haiku, put up a line and they could finish the poem with two other of their own lines. Those are things that they could also take pictures of, or we could take pictures of, put it on social media to promote the library. Origami, put out sets of, we do take your own craft or take and make a craft sometimes. So we could do some origami paper, some directions on how to make different shapes. And again, maybe students don't want to come to a workshop with 30 other students, but they want to take it with them, go home and make it on their own. Sneak teaching, so again, teaching people when they don't know they're being taught. This could be handouts, it could be displays of books, it could be displays of visuals. Focusing on world architecture, we could do holidays and celebrations around the world. Something as easy and simple as a little sheet that says, this is how you say hello in 20 other languages. That type of stuff is really popular with our students. And so I think taking this cultural approach to all of our programming is just going to be so well received, and I'm really excited about it. And then things you need to know. This was inspired by an article I read recently that talked about the Hawaiian language and how basically the number of speakers of Hawaiian had been decimated in recent decades, and it's back on the rise thanks to the efforts of some folks. And so this is something like I didn't even know that was a concern, but it's an article. I can print it out from one of our databases. I'm then promoting library resources and also promoting students and getting them interested in something that they probably didn't even know was an issue. Reading lists. This is really straightforward, just putting together a list of recreational reads for students. I would like your thoughts on this. I don't know if I would title them. Sometimes that's offensive, like, hi, these books are all about Caribbean art. I don't know. Sometimes people get offended. So maybe I would just number them. I'm not really sure about that yet. And then, of course, I can include articles and videos as well. And then this is an example of a resource list. So we could either do handouts for these, or again, this is a LibGuide. College of DuPage subscribes to these as well. This is one I created for a humanities class that I'm embedded in. And again, I could do a LibGuide based on topic or culture or time period. And maybe students would use it for research, and maybe they would just use it for self-teaching. So I think this is my jam, and I'm very excited to finally have one. A lot of librarians have a focus. Either maybe they focus on children's literature or technology or censorship or incarcerated populations. And I think this is my jam. I feel at home with it. I'm excited about it. I can't stop thinking about it. And so I'm really grateful to you. Some other opportunities on campus is working with our campus daycare or the kids' summer camp. We have a residential senior living across the street. We could do programs with them. And I also mentioned to a couple coworkers yesterday about creating a field trip club, and they were like, woo! I think it could be popular. Our students, they have a variety of backgrounds, socioeconomically and culturally, and they may not have the means to go downtown to go to museums or drive out to the Trickster Gallery in Schaumburg. And having a field trip club will kind of take that edge off for them, but help them learn about new cultures. And then what's next? So I think if this all goes well, I have enough content to present at a conference, possibly a workshop for other librarians to introduce this type of programming into their library. Possibly a book for library professionals. So the American Library Association publishes books for library professionals, and this would be perfect for, for what they're always looking for. We have a Resources for Excellence grant program at Harper, so I could possibly apply for a grant for some of the more expensive or bigger programs. Possibly doing some community events in Westchester. So my husband and I were just talking about this and how, it would be nice if there was a little bit more of a sense of community here, and this might be the way to do it. And then possibly something with beauty. So, my background is in cosmetics, and there is that a bridge and yet a disconnect, right, with cosmetics and aesthetics and beauty ideals and culture. And I think that could be something on the back burner, but that could be something in the future. So thank you so much. Sorry it went so long. If you have any questions, please send me an email, and I hope we can get together this summer sometime since we're neighbors. Thank you.